Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Endgame expansion, the final DLC for Battlefield 3. Now, what new things does Endgame bring to the table? Well, dirt bikes, of course. It brings the Capture the Flag game mode. We can pair drop in vehicles and troops like I'm doing right here. And there's also a jet superiority mode, which involves 12 jets fighting another 12 jets in sort of an aerial conquest game mode. Now let's start off with the motorcycles. You might be asking yourself, well, why is a motorcycle a big deal? We've already got ATVs, essentially the same thing. One person drives, another person sits on the back and shoots on a tiny little open platform that can really go over most terrains. Well, the motorcycles definitely drive differently. I know DICE was quite proud of the way that the motorcycles handle the actual vehicle physics for motorcycles is something that I imagine is pretty difficult to actually code. And they do drive really well. There are a few situations where they feel a little bit awkward, or they'll hit some sort of geometry that you don't see and just stop in their tracks, but for the most part they play out well and they look really cool. Now, one of the advantages that these have over the ATVs, which you'll see right here, is that you can fire forward from the passenger seat, making you a nice little mobile platform that can potentially dish out some decent damage. Now, it is a very dangerous thing to do, and I'm firing rockets here at this Humvee while Matimio is driving the motorcycle around, and it looks cool, but how effective is it actually? It might have actually been a lot easier and probably safer to have just hopped off the motorcycle and shot the Jeep with rockets from behind some ground cover. In most circumstances, when I'm playing infantry and I see an enemy on a motorcycle, I'm usually not feeling too threatened by them. They're very vulnerable. It takes them a little while to get off the motorcycle. Sometimes if they go for the road kills, it makes them a very easy shot to line up. So I gotta say, as far as motorcycles go in terms of being a combat threat, they're not really that big of a threat. What they are good at is getting you around the map fast. They're abundant. They're all over the place. Almost every single capture point has at least one or two motorcycles there, so you can get around these larger maps pretty quickly. You're just going to be a bit more vulnerable, especially on Capture the Flag. You really have to watch out for javelin lock-ons. Now, as far as Capture the Flag goes, the game mode is actually pretty fun. Each map plays out differently. All the maps have tons of jumps and stuff integrated for the dirt bikes, so you can make some sort of spectacular getaways with the flag. However, this is actually very hard to do. You'll notice that a lot of people spend their time really defending the heck out of the flag, which is a good thing, although it kind of sucks sometimes when you have an entire team that has decided to defend the flag rather than play offensively. Now, if you think you're going to hop into a game of Capture the Flag and have a fun time sort of zooming around on the dirt bike, grabbing the flag, think again. It's going to be incredibly hard to get to the flag. If you're playing in any game that sort of resembles the game modes I was playing, you can expect anywhere from 10 to 20 mines around any single flag, on top of which you can also expect just about everybody to be playing engineer with javelin rockets. These two things here basically turn the dirt bike into a death trap. I can't tell you how many times I hopped onto the dirt bike and got blown up by a landmine or a javelin. You're almost better off going on foot and using a dirt bike that spawns at the enemy team's flag to try and get out of there. You're certainly not going to get away on foot. Once you have the flag, it pretty much alerts the entire team to your position, so you better be moving fast, otherwise you're dead. Now, when I was playing CTF with Matimio, it became very apparent that teamwork is absolutely crucial. Now, that might seem like common sense. Of course, teamwork is crucial in any Battlefield game, but in, say, a rush game mode, you can sort of work together and you feel like your team is sort of behind you and with you for most of the way. In Capture the Flag, you really have these large maps, so you have to move around in groups. You're not going to have any spawn locations that are close to the enemy flag. It's your flag and their flag. If you get blown up on the way, you're going to have to respawn or hope that a squad mate revives you, or at least provides you a good spawn location further up, because it does take a little while to get to the enemy flag, and considering that dirt bikes are such death traps, you may want to even avoid them. I see a lot of people just move out on foot from one flag to another, and that can take quite a while. I was somewhat surprised that they included attack helicopters in some maps. I knew that they were going to have scout helicopters, which I was totally fine with because they're sort of slow-moving helicopters and they're not completely overpowered. In fact, it's pretty easy to shoot a pilot out of one. But the attack helicopter is much faster moving. It's pretty much capable of killing anything on the map. in a short period of time. So adding those to the capture the flag game mode really gives each team a very, very useful tool for defending and getting back a captured flag. And this is something that makes, I think, the game highly dependent on how good your helicopter team is. Now, speaking of piloting, let's take a look at this whole air superiority thing. Now, this isn't going to appeal to everyone. You have to know how to fly a jet to have fun in this mode. There's only jet flying. You can't spawn infantry. When you spawn in, you spawn directly into a jet that's already in flight, and you also can't land jets or bail out of jets. For somebody who likes flying, this is actually really nice because you should be very used to your enemy pilot bailing out of the jet, usually before you can kill them. I've gone up in jets and shot down my enemy jet maybe 10 times without getting a kill because everybody bails out before the thing is destroyed. Well, that's not going to happen here. Every time you shoot down a jet, you get a kill for it, unless somebody manages to sort of steal your kill right before you take down a jet, which does happen a lot. You also have to watch out for mid-air collisions. I was trying to figure out whether I should be using stealth or air radar. There's definitely going to be a lot of lock-on rockets in this game mode, as there's no reason to really use air-to-ground rockets. And you have to watch out for those lock-ons, but you also want to be mindful of your opponents. So I was using stealth for the most part, but I feel like air radar would be really, really useful for telling how close you are to teammates and enemy jets and all that sort of thing. I'd love to sort of get an expert pilot's opinion on how to do well in air superiority. I'm definitely rusty at flying. But surprisingly, even if you're not the best pilot in the world, I feel like you can still have fun as long as you know the basics. There's a lot of newbie pilots up in the air. I was able to get many kills, and a lot of players go out there and they go for other jets and they're not really mindful of who's on their tail. You know, I found myself in a lot of dogfight situations where I almost had a guy down, somebody was on my tail, and I pretty much realized that they were probably going to kill me, so I just went for my target anyway, making myself an easier shot. That's bound to happen quite a bit in this game mode, and you know, it's just what happens. It's sort of a big chaotic dogfight. And that's one thing that's, I wouldn't say bothers me about the game mode, but the blimps almost seem like they're trivial. I can't honestly imagine a situation where I'm using comms and talking to another friendly jet pilot and saying, okay, you go for the blimp capture now. It's pretty much all going to be just about shooting down other jets. The blimps just happen to be there. You happen to be in the location to capture them and sort of take those points. But in terms of like looking at the map and seeing who controls what point, it really doesn't represent much. You just sort of fly out there, see enemy jets, start shooting at them. You may as well just call it Jet Team Deathmatch. But they do at least provide that metagame if you get to the point where you want it. They're also good obstacles for aerial combat. There isn't a lot of stuff you can crash into. You will see some jets flying closer to the ground and try and break some of those air-to-air locks, and there are obstacles near there. On the Nabondon Flats, there's windmills, which can be cool. But higher up in the air, the blimps just add that extra little bit of something that can be counted as an obstacle. So you can fly around it, you can try and make another jet crash into it. I've seen plenty of pilots crash into them. So it's like the only thing you can actually put up in the air that counts as some sort of aerial obstacle to give you a little bit of a foundation. Alright, but getting back to sort of the core game here, the capture the flag game mode, the new maps, the ground gameplay, I have to say my initial impressions, I was not completely thrilled with Capture the Flag. I felt like it was highly dependent on the map you're playing. Kaisar Railroads has a lot more infantry cover, and I felt like I was having a lot more fun on that map trying to grab the flag. I just felt like I had more ways to get out and hide behind things once I had the flag. But on this one here, you just have such a limited amount of cover. The Nabondon Flats, again, you have barely any cover. You have to have vehicles. You have to have a lot of guys backing you up. And like any other first-person shooter with Capture the Flag, I find that 90% of the time when your teammate grabs a flag, or if you grab a flag, your teammates aren't going to back you up. They don't get points following around the flag guy unless he dies and you pick up the flag and carry on the mission. So people aren't going to follow you around and defend you, and this is just sort of a universal thing with public games. You really have to be playing with some friends, working together to get that flag. Otherwise, it's just going to be sort of a kind of a difficult and less rewarding experience. Capturing the flag feels like it's reliant much more on chance rather than good coordination and teamwork. Now, I normally don't pay attention to in-game chat that much, but while I was playing, there was quite a few people that were just complaining that people were not playing the objective, and they were just kind of playing the game mode like it was TDM, which happened to have some flags scattered throughout the map. It seemed like half the team was sort of more concerned with just getting kills, and the other half of the team was sort of playing the objective. And that really hurts a game mode when only half the team is on target. But anyway, those are my first impressions for the game. I'm going to get much more into it, explore each game mode individually quite a bit more. So stay tuned for those videos, and I'll see you guys next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.